Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today we'll be diving into Unity 5.4 and taking a look on how to get started in developing a game for the Xbox 360. Now, Unity game development is super accessible. If you're quite familiar with the environment, you can get things done pretty fast and effectively. But when you're working with older console, with older hardware, there's important limitation and differences compared to doing a game for your PC or current gen. Um, so I'll explain what those are, walk you through the Unity interface, and show you to get set up with a small scene. I'll show you what features are missing compared to having a normal Unity installment without the Xbox 360 plugin. Alright, so here I've loaded up a few um, asset package. This is an a nature starter kit. So this kit will run perfectly on PC. Uh, you can see it looks awesome and everything, and it's running smoothly. On the console, it may not run this smoothly, and I will give you a small comparison. I'm going to load this up on the console and let you see how it operates. All right, we're here on the console, so let's get that nature pack loaded up. Nature, so let's copy that over. Let's we can drop it right here. All right. So once this is loaded up, when you launch the game, and again, you're gonna see a black screen, which would normally be a loading screen because we haven't implemented that. We will do further along in the lessons, implement different features like loading screen and so forth. All right, so let's see how this runs. All right, so as you can see, it logs a lot. The light and everything is way off, and I will explain why. So with optimization, this will run smoothly on the console, but no, this was basically created to run on your PC, not the console. So let's jump back over into Unity, and I'll explain why this scene is like this. All right, so now we're back over into Unity. So I'm going to show what this scene is. But before that, I'll basically do a run through of this layout. So currently I'm using layout 2 by 3. So I got the two window by this three tabs over here. And I'll explain what these are. So the top window here, this is your scene window basically. So this is where you do all the game designing. You drag and drop your prefab and everything. You do your designing to the scene. You can move around using the mouse button and also your arrow keys. The bottom window here is your game window, and it shows you what the game would actually looks like. So if I move an object in the scene window, it will take effect in the game window as you can see below. So it's basically a preview of what your game will look like. So here we have our hierarchy. Objects you place in the scene, they appear near as components. So let's see, these are the trees. You have your terrain, which is what you place all your objects on. You have your lighting, directional light. So if I remove directional light, you can see what effect it basically makes. So you have your main camera, is what you, the player, sees. This is mostly used in first-person shooter and so forth. During a top-down game, you would normally remove the camera, the main camera, because the player prefab already have one configured as a top-down view, and we'll get to that as we go along. Next to the hierarchy, we have our project. So the project window is where all the assets, model, texture, audio script, and everything is stored. So these are your prefab. This is where your scenes are stored. This is where your C# script are stored that binds to your prefab. And we'll get into that later on in this series. And next to that, to your right, you have your inspector. So your inspector lets you tweak the properties of your game object or your prefab. So let's say, for example, which we're going to end up doing, if you want to tweak uh, player, all right. So you want to tweak this player object, which we're going to do for our demo scene. We're going to start off with, and first thing you want to do is enable yourself to use a controller. So you scroll and you look for anything that says joystick. Okay, I'm going to a few times. So there. So this will enable joystick right off the bat, because in default it was set to keyboard. And being that this script allows up to 4 players. So one thing you want to do in setting this up, which we'll revisit, is we need to set our input. So navigation input is one of the things that you really want to get set up. And yes, this is where you set your inputs, and we'll get to that. All right. So going forward, I'm creating a game. You can create a game from scratch, but it's normally easier to have a starter kit, somewhere to start. And the best way to do that is to get either a kit or a template from the asset store. You can access the asset store. You do have to, have a Unity account and you sign in. And in the asset store, you can go to templates. They are free templates under free. And whenever time you select a template, it will basically import right into Unity itself. So ensure to select the version that you're on and you have your free template. So these are the ones that I already have where when I start a new game, I can choose to import templates. And there you have your game menu and so forth. So yes, you can get your template from here as a starting point. All right, so with that being said, we're gonna start our first scene. So we're gonna create a folder here, and let's call this folder Xbox 360 game. All right. So all the scenes, everything we create will be saved to this folder. We can use prefab from other templates into our scene, and it will also be saved to this folder. So we're going to create our first scene, and let's just call this level 01, and we're gonna double click. So we don't want to save anything here to go to our first scene. So you can see we have a blank scene. There's nothing here, only the main camera and directional light. That's all we have here. So normally the first thing I'm going to do is to create a plane, something the character can stand upon. So the difference between creating a plane and a terrain, the terrain you can shape to create mountains and pathway. And we'll get into that further down, but now we're just going to create a simple plane. And there we have it's a simple plane. And we're going to position our plane all at 0. One reason doing that, it's easier to place objects and assign their position, because you can do that in division of even numbers. So, and I'll show you exactly what I'm referring to. All right, so let's go down to our plane right here. All right, so first thing we want to do is we're going to place a character. So let's go into our soldier here and prefab player, and we're going to place this guy. So let's place this guy on the plane right here. And we're going to remove our main camera. So with our main camera, when we actually start the game, it's going to look like this. You won't get the top-down view exactly. So we're going to remove that. So if I click play, you should be able to move the character around. If not, okay. All right, then we are going to see why that is. Player, and we're gonna see. Okay, so set for joystick. So we're gonna go over in our input section, and this is where we wanna assign our buttons. So to aim, I'm gonna choose joystick axis. So the reason you have 4 different aim is that this package is designed to use 4 players. So we're just setting it for just the first player. But that's what we're working with. To use. So the thing about this, you only have to set this once, and then once you save it, it'll save to the prefab itself. Okay. And you may be asking, how do I know that it's set properly? So there is a way in Google. You can just Google the button layout for Xbox controller, and Google will actually tell you what button is for what. Okay, so being said, let's give this another try and see if that makes a difference. Alright, no, it does not. My controller plugged in. Okay, yes it is. Alright, so I'm glad this has happened. So, in case you run into this, so we're gonna solve this to see what's going on. Alright, let's try another prefab here. So we're not gonna try the multiplayer, we're just gonna try the normal player on the plane. And we'll see if that makes a difference. Okay. There, I'll fall off the plane. Alright. So apparently the multiplayer character is not configured. So that I would have to go through and configure it. I'll probably make a separate video in doing that. But yeah, so this is our first scene with the plane. And the character actually fall off the edge. So let's start with our first little design of this section right here. Alright, so we're going to go to top-down station, prefab, and here you have our different prefab that we can actually used to create our stage right here. Alright, so let's drag a corridor and put it there. And we want the corridor to be at 0. So at this point, you can remove the plane. And we're gonna that's 0, 0. So I start everything at 0. And now you can see when you duplicate an object, it makes it easier for you to actually line it up. So you can see that the X is now 10. And when that said, you can see that it lines up perfectly. So that's one of the reason it's always good to start up at 0, 0. So one other thing you want to do, if you can notice that the plane only extends to this section here. So if I should walk down to this corridor, I may fall through. Let's give that a test and see. Alright, so apparently I didn't fall through. But one thing, if you place like an enemy or anything like that, they'll fall through, and I'll explain why. Do I have any enemies in this? Yes. Let's put the AI soldiers right here. Place them at 0. Now, if I should click play, you can see that he falls through. And that is something that it happens, but there's a way to fix it. So other objects there's no navigation that is baked into the scene to differentiate where a player can or enemy can go and not to go. So one of the things that we always do, once you create a scene, you have to bake that scene. So you go into window, navigation, and once you bake that scene, it basically creates a collision on the ground or on the wall and so forth. So once you bake that scene, so now if I should play, you can see that the enemy doesn't fall through. Okay. And yeah, I may stop this video right here. In our next video, we'll create a room with objects, and I will demonstrate how to attach script to objects. Okay, if you notice that once the scene started, this enemy right here started to shoot and track the player itself, and the reason why that is because if you go into enemy itself, you can see that there are scripts attached to this player. So you can see So this is one script that's attached, and that's for any text or so forth. This is for the camera. So there are different behavioral script that attach to the enemies. So you have the enemy AI script that actually tells the enemy what to do. And these are all variables and parameters that are set within the C# script. And these are easily modified and can be tailored to do what you want it to do by just double clicking and opening Visual Studio. And you can go through and play with the variables, which we will be doing in this series. All right. Okay, so thanks for watching. I'm gonna end this segment right here, and tune in next time as we'll, explore and create a game for modded Xbox 360 and so forth. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.